that way. He just wanted to.
He wanted to be on his own.
He wanted to be on his own, and he had a habit of.
Where did he go?
Well, he started off in stagecoaches, and then they bring him back home, and then he started hopping railroad trains.
Out to California.
Well, the last time he left, he made it.
And where did he go?
It was out in that Los Angeles area. It wasn't really Los Angeles. It was south of there. What do they call that community? Remember?
I don't recall.
So your mom has all this. She ain't bullshitting me one bit. She had all them boxes of pictures and stuff. She has all that information.
I've seen some of it, but I haven't been able to find the address in L.A.
It's not in Los Angeles. It's another community. It's not San Bernardino or Los Angeles. It's another San Clemente or something like that.
San Clemente, I know where that is.
Something like that.
In between San Diego and L.A.
San Pablo or some. It wasn't in Los Angeles. And somehow Grandpa...
That's where Elton went.
Years ago.
But that's before 1900.
Oh, Elton was probably 14 or 15 when he finally disappeared.
And he was born in 18...
Well, everything that I understood, he was born 1878.
Yeah.
I seen a thing Albert wrote down, said he was born 1879, but I for what I have found and seen, no.
So he's going out to California in the 1890s.
That's probably about right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there's a house in San Diego which is from the original. That's built in the 1870s, and it's I think the oldest house in the city of San Diego.
Yeah.
So that's when the city began in the 1870s.
That could very well be where he went. I don't remember.
So
If your mom's got all that, it's there. I've seen
interesting.
it. I've seen the pictures when they found them, and they went out there to see Elton.
But how did the camps end up out there?
And that was in the early 60s, about 19... I think they went out there to see Elton maybe 1961 when they finally found him.
How did Aunt Maggie end up out there?
Aunt Mag, they sold out their house on Main Street. Her and Logan were just brother and sister, but they were buddies. They just lived together. They came out of Maroa. The house is still in Maroa, all restored. Came out of the antique old house, left Maroa, came into Decatur, and maybe the house is still there on Main Street. Left there, went to Los Angeles.
Out of the blue, they just went out to L.A.
They just decided, yeah, they more or less they got tired of the winter. They were older people, got tired of the winters. They went out there.
You know when this was? What time?
I'm just gonna say, give or take, 1920.
Yeah.
Something like that.
So they moved out there.
Yeah. Or after. It was probably in the 1920s.
But they lived.
And they moved out there in like a slough area. There was nothing out there. It was like a sand slough wash type area with reeds and that. And they set up a house out there because Logan was a house builder and carpenter.
And who was Logan?
Brother.
The brother of.
Well, Grandma's dad, Francis.
Yeah.
Stephen Camp. Logan Camp.
Margaret.
And Maggie or Margaret. Who am I missing?
Francis Jr.
Francis Jr.
Sam Camp.
Yeah, Sam.
Oh wait, I'm saying the wrong thing.
Francis Sr., he was the oldest.
Yeah.
Then Stephen. Then Logan. Then Aunt Mag. Not Junior.
Right. So this is the
Junior
generation
was
before.
Grandma's brother.
Right. Francis Marion's brother.
I think there was 4 or 5 in that family. I'm not sure who I'm missing. I never knew Logan. Logan died in like 1958.
They all lived a long time.
Yeah, I never knew Logan. Never met Steve, no.
But several of them were living in
Aunt
L.A.
Meg, see, Aunt Meg came back. Grandma brought her back. Nobody else would help the old gal. Feeble old gal was going blind with cataracts. And Grandma brought her back, and she lived with Grandma in the homestead for some time. Maybe 3 years. About that. And then when Steve turned 100, they went out there by train to his birthday. And Jane and Alice went with him. And that was 1963. Steve was born
18.
July of 1863.
So they saw him on his 100th birthday in Idaho
He was living in a nursing home then.
and Boise.
Yeah. He was a state appointed. He wound up a state ward. They put him in a nursing home. But luckily, Grandma got in there real quick. Luckily, she got in there before they took his land. He had flat land and he had wooded land with a lot of board timber on it. And Grandma got in there and stopped these people. They were gonna confiscate all this stuff. Supposedly the big scam and lie was for Steve's well-being, taking care of Steve. Spent a lot of money in a nursing home to take care of him his last few years, couple years. Oh yeah. So well, Grandma wound up after the fact, sold all this property off
In Idaho.
and divided it up between her and her brothers and that, and Bessie.
And then how did she end
And
up?
then Aunt Meg and Uncle Logan's house did the same thing.
So they moved into Aunt Maggie's house.
Me and Mark were out there. Nice old house, and
And you were teenagers.
just out of high school I was.
And you stayed at the house
3 months.
working on it?
Mostly what I did was take care of the yard for them. Grandma had landscapers and people like that hired to do the yard work. Well, when I come out there, then I did it. I did it for her and their neighbor, a couple neighbors. Well, saved them some money until we left.
Till they sold the house. Were you there when
They
they?
didn't sell the house until it was early in 1968.
And that's when you left. You left before.
We left. We went there in January and we left right at the end of April of 1967.
So you were out there for a little while in '67, and they sold the house the next year. They moved back to Decatur when they sold it.
Yeah, 1968. And they sold the house. Wait till you hear this. For $22,500. That was minimum. They had to get that much for the house. Well, that whole neighborhood, you remember Boys in the Hood and that type of movies and gangs? Well, that's exactly that neighborhood where that happened. So,
South Central. In Crenshaw?
Yeah, Crenshaw. That's Crenshaw Boulevard. There you go.
On Edgewater?
Pico,
Edge.
Crenshaw was south.
That's below the 10. I know where Crenshaw is.
Well, anyhow, that whole neighborhood wound up gang warfare, Boys in the Hood, and probably the house is long gone. And the neighborhood too. And Grandma, when she sold that house, was to a colored mailman.
And that was in the 60s.
He was the first one to move into that block. And after that, well, they took over, and that was the end of it.
And Crenshaw. Or was it Baldwin Hills?
No, we were right north of Crenshaw. South, we were right
Adams.
right in the middle of Pico and Crenshaw.
Trying to think of
And
Pico.
the side street, I don't recall, Mike. I just don't. It was like.
I don't think Pico goes into Crenshaw.
I don't remember. No, they parallel.
Parallel? Adams is the
North
street
and
that I
south.
think of in Crenshaw.
I don't remember the site. I'd have to look at my map. I got the map.
Yeah.
Brought it home.
You got
I
it?
still got it. You know, metal box. Still have it.
All right. We can stop here.